of us who've been in the Bujinkan for a while know that we have a very large curriculum. We have 9 separate familial traditions, many of which relate to each other, and so there's significant overlap. Nonetheless, they are 9 actual separate traditions, each one a martial arts curriculum in its own right. So if you look at, many of the jiu-jitsus taught today, many of the karates taught today, they are a single tradition. And so they have a catalog of wazas, katas, the large ones maybe 40 or so. Because of the nature of our system, which is a synthesis of Koru, or classical warrior thinking, we have hundreds of kata. So there's a lot of stuff we have to digest. However, we focus on core principles that are repeated sometimes from school to school, often from school to school. But all of that reduces back down to our core concepts, many of which revolve around something we call the Kyon Happo in the Sanshin no Kata. So it's easy for us as we study each tradition, each separate tradition, to sometimes veer away from the basics. And we always need to return our thinking back to the basics, because you guys have heard me say this before, advanced is to do the basics well, right? Advanced is to do the basics well. So we're going to look at one of our piece of our Kyon Happo called omote gyaku. Omote outside, gyaku wrist turn. There's more than one way to do the classical version. We'll look at several different ways to do the classical version. It starts, like a lot of old jiu-jitsu techniques start, from the lapel grab. I fall to what we call his heel line. Notice I've taken him off balance, and it's been my weight that executes the turn. From here, I return to my own center, step out 90 degrees from where I were to his fall line, where his body would naturally fall as he's taken from a center of gravity. From there, it's easy to break his grip, and I turn to execute the gyaku. We understand? I see on the other side. I come out to the heel line. Notice just by falling into ichimonji, I take him off his structural center to defend mine. Return to my own center, step out to his fall line. Notice I didn't step into him, then I want him to regain his center. Once I get his shoulders off his hips, I want to keep his shoulders off his hips. Return to my center, step back. Yeah. We call them hinka, or variations. However, because we look at a system that incorporates more than one ruha, or more than one tradition, sometimes there's actually more than one tree for the same thing. Well, some of the Kyon Happos certainly like that. So we're going to look at a couple different classical variants to apply omote gyaku. Just like before, I fall into ichimonji. I return to my own center. I step back out on the rail, but this time when I come up, as opposed to spinning around my own axis, which I could do, I simply fall back out into ichimonji. Make sense? Seen from the other side. Ichimonji. Cross back to his toe line. Turn the hand. Step back out to ichimonji. The lazy man. Yes. Because what's one of our cardinal rules, right? If we're making mistakes with our hands, how do we fix them? With our feet. If our hands are making a mistake, we fix it with our feet. He grabs on. But now, as opposed to pushing energy, he gives me a pulling energy, because if he pushes, it's easy for me, just like a sail in the wind, to take the energy of his push and get where I need to go. However, let's say it's stabilizing energy, because why do people grab on like this? What are they trying to do? They're trying to stabilize their targets. When someone grabs you like this to punch you, it's because they're trying to stabilize their target so they won't miss. So this could be downward neutral image, or even pulling some, in which case, as opposed to falling out to his heel line, instead, I'll go ahead and step right across his front to his toe line. Notice that it's my body that executes the wrist turn, not my hands. All my hand did was stay in place. Then, once by using the ranges of motions of his joints to kind of disconnect the power in his musculature, then it's easier for me to come back underneath the hand, drop underneath it to get it off me. And then I can go back to what I did before, rotate in my own axis. Understand? Other side. So, hands come up defensively, I come across the front. Drop out underneath, turn on my own axis. Closer examination of the wrist lock itself. Again, as much as possible, I never want to use the appendages of my arm's length, or my appendages to effectively power the lockup in that wrist, it's me turning. All my hand did was stay in place. In fact, you know, crafty ninja, you never know it was there until I started stepping. So it's the turn of my body which executes that reverse 90-degree turn in his wrist. And once I've done that, automatically I lock the elbow and the shoulder. And then from there, I've got, you know, any number of series of throws I want to execute, or I can return to the original technique. Now, to clear him off of my gi top is a lot easier because I've taken all of his power by locking his joints. So all I have to do again is rely on gravity, not me pushing up away, me dropping underneath. Then I turn it back on.